welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where Chris Garber and I will spend the next hour discussing the fact that Ohio University tight ends are now like a pipeline across US 33 on up to Ohio State. The tight end pipeline has continued. It's like the Royals used to be for the Yankees, Chris.
Yeah, it's a great feeling as a Bobcat fan.
Hey, I will tell you this before we get into what we're really here for, and that's to talk about your Cincinnati Reds. An athletic director of a local school, I called a basketball game there last week. His son plays for Ohio University football. He was a true freshman this year. He redshirted. I made a joke about it. Oh, he didn't get into that portal and take off like everybody else. And he's like, look, the receiver, the tight end, there's some good players that definitely found new homes at bigger places. But he's like, a lot of these kids will start coming back, which they have. He said the portal's not all it's made out to be this year. It's not nearly as lucrative, although there's enough for an entire conference's worth of football players in the portal. It's insane.
It's just crazy. And I mean, I guess you might as well put your name in the hat and see what happens, because there's not, I guess, a downside to it.
The only downside is if your school you're leaving calls your bluff and says, "Oh, you're gone? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll find somebody different." And of course, that varies from school to school as to who has the upper hand in such discussions. We'll have on the new Catholics versus Buckeyes show, we're going to have that come out tomorrow. It couldn't be much better. There's Ohio State guys going to Notre Dame, and James Laurinaitis, who worked at Notre Dame with Marcus Freeman, he's getting into the College Football Hall of Fame. So there's all kinds of news about the two programs. So stay tuned for that this week. But yeah, we're here to talk about the Reds. And I want to talk with you today because our good friend Chad Dotson, and I don't know that he coined this phrase, Chris, you could tell me if he did, but he liked to say ever since about 2018 or so that hope is not a strategy.
And that one goes even farther back. I mean, I think we were talking about that back in the early 2000s for sure.
Okay.
Because it felt like that's generally what Cincinnati baseball is. Well, we've got a team, and if so-and-so matches the career year he had before, and if the other guy doesn't match the lousy season he had last year, but matches the one he had 4 years ago, and if a couple of these prospects turn into Mickey Mantle, and if this pitcher who's never been healthy before stays healthy all year, then we got a chance to compete.
Well, the Reds this week did go ahead and spend more money adding bullpen help, which certainly is a good thing. But the fact that they're spending a lot more money there than a lot of people would have thought says that it's possible that they are all but done with the offense. So I kind of put in actually I did a Google search with using AI, and here's the question I asked, because hope is not a strategy, but it's what we're left with. Okay. So I said, what is the best case scenario for the following baseball players in the 2026 season? So I went ahead and put in some of the names, and let's talk about what it spit out, because it was pretty on point as far as what could be best case. I think we could quibble with some things, so I want us to talk about them. All right. So let's start with obviously Elly De La Cruz. All right, we'll start there. And actually, it started with I'm going to read what it said. It said the best case scenario for these players in 2026, and this is such good buzzwords. I think Phil ought to use some of these. In 2026 involves them fully realizing their elite potential, bouncing back from previous injuries or slumps, and becoming core contributors to a competitive Cincinnati Reds lineup. All right, Elly De La Cruz, best case scenario. De La Cruz leverages his rare physical tools to be an undisputed franchise cornerstone and multi-time All-Star, which actually he already is. He's a two-time All-Star, right? He makes significant strides in plate discipline, leading to a higher on-base percentage and consistent production throughout the entire season, avoiding the second-half fade that occurred in 2025. Defensively, he stabilizes his play at shortstop, minimizing errors while showcasing elite range and arm strength, potentially becoming a Gold Glove candidate. And it says his potential stats: a slash line around 270, 350, 480 with 30 home runs and 60 plus stolen bases.
Sure.
All right. What do you think?
Well, I don't think anybody's going to let him steal 60 bases on this organization, but I'd be happy with that.
So AI proves to be very smart, yet maybe not sufficient when it comes to reading the room on, hey, this isn't David Bell's Reds. Is that what you're saying?
Sounds fair.
Okay. All right. But I think we would both agree he could get to that 6.5 B WAR and maybe even more if he could stay healthy. I think that's, to me, that's what happened this past year. He just wasn't healthy.
I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot. That's a high number.
Yeah. Which one? What? I mean, 60 stolen base. Let's forget about that. But
yeah,
270, 350, 480, 30 home runs. Of those four things, which slugging certainly has to do with home runs a little bit, of those four things, what's the most outrageous?
I think the home runs probably.
You don't see him hitting 30.
I mean, the thing is, like, the one thing I'm almost positive about is that Elly De La Cruz is going to play about 150 games next year if he's healthy.
Sure.
Not 160. So all those counting and accumulation stats are going to be nibbled away at by the fact he's not going to play as much.
Well, you can't nibble away too much at the home runs when he hit one home run over like a 60-game period this past year.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's all pretty realistic, I guess.
Do you think 350 on base is realistic for Elly?
I was just looking on Fangraphs. They've got the all the different projection systems in there, and a couple of them have him projected at a 342.
Okay.
On base, and the others are kind of in between 325, 335. So I don't think it sounds wildly implausible.
So when we talk about hope is not a strategy, I don't think Elly is the guy that we think about, because I think we can count on Elly for a certain amount, and he's not Encarnacion Strand, right? He's not, he's not a guy like, oh, I hope he can come through and do something, and then the Reds will be good. No, like Elly has a foundation of success already.
You're looking at 10, 12 points of on base. Yeah, I mean, that's just variance in some ways.
Sure. All right. So the next one is one I think is hope dependent, right? Because Matt McLain, it says his best case scenario: McLain fully recovers his form from his impressive 2023 season, demonstrating that his 2024 injury and subsequent 2025 slump are behind him. He solidifies his role as the everyday second baseman, providing a strong combination of power, speed, and solid defense. His performance helps anchor the top or middle of the Reds' batting order and contributes significantly to run production. Now, the middle part, like I was going to say, this AI, I didn't think that Google AI could get into our Slack channel, but some of us on there talk about the idea of him doing some of these things, bouncing back and having a 2023 like season. Potential stats for Matt McLain: slash line around 280, 350, 480, which is kind of like what we just said about Elly, with 25 home runs and 20 stolen bases.
How did you say what would the batting average was? What, 250?
His is 280.
283. Okay, 280, 380.
280, 350.
350.
480 slugging.
I mean, that's basically just a tiny discount off of what he did in half the season in 2023.
That's right.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at all these projections, and the top projection on him has his on base at 318. I mean, I think everybody, the strikeouts are, again, I don't want to, I'm a guy defended Adam Dunn for years, but McLain strikes out, 28, 29% of the time.
Sure.
Even when he's going good. So is it possible that he rebounds Yep. Is it something I'd love to see? Of course. Is it something that a smart baseball team counts on happening in their 2026 plan? No, it is not.
But hope is a strategy in this practice here, this exercise. Okay. So I agree. I think somewhere between I think he's somewhere between the guy he was in 23 when he broke out, and I think he only had 90 games, though, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 89.
So he's somewhere in a full season that between that height, but how bad he was last year. He's not. I can't imagine he improves upon the 2023 sample size we got after what happened.
Yeah, I mean, his isolated power that year was 216. I mean, he was beating the ball all over the ballpark.
Hit the ball hard. He sure did.
And last year it was 124, which is down in, Jose Trevino country.
Yikes. Okay. All right. Now this next one is it's not in the Christian Encarnacion Strand area because we've kind of lost hope in him. And if you put hope in Christian, I'm sorry, but it's just true. So this is South Stewart. This is an untapped potential type hope, right? Okay. So best case scenario from Google AI. After his strong September debut in 2025, Stewart secures a full-time role in the everyday lineup, likely splitting time between first base and designated hitter. Sounds good to me. He proves his bat is as good as advertised in the minor leagues, displaying excellent strike zone awareness and impactful power that makes him an immediate offensive force and strong Rookie of the Year candidate. Even AI knows that he still qualifies for Rookie of the Year. That is impressive. All right, here's what they. My goodness, the whole Reds team is going to have a 350 on base. That'd be quite excellent, actually. A slash line of 275, 350, and 500 slugging with 25 to 30 home runs and a full season of plate appearances. Now, this is clearly extrapolating minor league numbers.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that that's actually really close to what all 5 of these projection models show, except for the playing time.
Okay.
Like all of these have him playing around 100 games, getting 400 plate appearances. But they're all, the pessimistic one has him batting 250, 321, 425. High end is like 272, 340, 450.
Okay.
So they don't see quite that power, but they do have him hitting between all around 15, 16 home runs in 2/3 of a season. So
yeah, so 400 at bats. If you got to 550 or 600, then
20 home runs seems more reasonable than 25, but
yeah. All right. Well, hey, so we're getting on base.
I'm optimistic about Sal. Like that's a spot where I probably would pencil. I'd be comfortable penciling him in. I'd want to have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably about where the Reds are on it.
Sure. Well, and certainly splitting time at first base. I mean, we'll obviously discuss one of the other guys that might be there as well here in a minute, but that's interesting. And then this is assuming they don't do anything else. So that designated hitter role that I was just bemoaning again last week, they don't seem to view that as an actual position, which I would love them to do.
No, they act like it's like, I don't know, 1974. And they're just like, well, we don't know what to do with this position.
Well, yeah, or the first year of interleague play where they just say, I don't know, just we'll rotate. Chad Matola get out there a few times. All right, the next one is Noelvi Marti. The best case scenario for Marte is he builds on his midseason position switch to right field. Man, they know everything. After the Reds acquired Key Brian Hayes, and he establishes himself as a middle-of-the-order run producer, he refines his plate discipline to consistently access his raw power in games, becoming a reliable outfielder with a strong blend of hitting ability and potential for 20-plus home runs and double-digit stolen bases. All right, potential stats, 260, 320. So, okay, they don't think he'll get on a base as much, but a 450 slugging with 20 home runs and 15 stolen bases.
Yeah, as with all the other ones, this AI projection, the batting average is pretty consistent, but then they add kind of 20 points of on base and 20 points of slugging that
Well, I
don't
asked
really
Google
seem to
for
come from
best
anywhere.
case. So what was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, but I don't know that the maths on it really.
Mm,
I don't know if I see a world where he's walking 80 times.
right.
I don't think he's ever done
Yeah,
that.
he didn't really walk much last year.
No, only 4.4% of the time last year.
Uh-huh.
And even if that gets, 50% jump in that, I just don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to have an on base percentage of more than 320 unless his batting average really.
Well, that's what this said. He'd hit 260 and have an on base at 320. So
Yeah, I don't know that
that's too
quite
big
works
of a
out.
gap, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if he does become a power hitter, perhaps they'll start pitching around him more. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm still pretty excited about his potential, though. I think
Yeah.
he showed quite a bit, especially dealing with the position change. He'll
I'm
know.
good with him. Yeah.
Hopefully, day one, he knows he's a right fielder, and that's where he'll be. So, all right, the last one I put in, and actually, I forgot to put him in originally. So it was really funny. It was like 5 minutes apart, and Google decided to reformat the way it spit this out. So Spencer has a little different setup here, but Spencer Steer builds on his consistent performance, which you and I need to question that a little bit, and overcomes the shoulder issues that bothered him early in 2025.
Mhm.
He settles into a versatile corner infielder outfielder role and has a fully healthy, highly productive year. In a best case scenario, he's an Iron Man player
Mhm.
who hits 25 plus home runs, drives in 80 plus runs, and maintains a solid batting average, providing reliable, above average offensive production and defensive flexibility for the team. So that it didn't give me the slash line, but it did give me 25 plus home runs.
Yeah. I mean, I think the optimistic case for Steer is 2023 when he batted 271, 356, 464. I mean, that's way up there. But the last 2 years he's batting around 230 with a 315 on base and,
Yeah,
and a slug right above 400.
so I can't explain this. I mean, you know as well as I do. We and I use this phrase. It's not what I mean exactly, but we fall in love with guys for funny reasons. Like I was there the night that Spencer Steer hit his first big league homer, and I was right on the third base dugout, and I actually videoed him as he ran around the bases with the fireworks going off, and then in 23, you're right. I mean, I get people don't care as much about batting average anymore, but he was the guy when he hit 271 and 23 that I thought, oh, this guy could hit 285, 290. This guy could get on base via the base knock more often than not in that kind of way. And I really had higher hopes. And in these last 2 years, you're right. Like he'll have a stretch sometimes, and last year it was not early because of the injury. But I feel like the year before, I feel like in 24, the first 2 or 3 weeks of April, he was just on fire. And then he just fell way down to earth.
Yeah. Well, if you look at his career numbers, it's really interesting because his walks, his strikeouts, and his home runs have been pretty consistent every year. But it's the singles and the doubles that he just lost last year. And I don't know that I've ever seen a guy with that pattern of anti-development. Like it's a weird deal.
So I'm convinced though, Chris, he hurt his shoulder in 24. Because if you remember the timeline last year, they never said a word about it. And it's like a week into spring training, then they start talking about it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. His production fell off quite a bit at the end of 24. Maybe there was even somebody, maybe even when they started talking in spring training about it, they were saying how this was bothering them in September or something. It just feels like, well, why didn't you do something over the offseason to get this figured out? And then it just followed him into 25. But that doesn't mean he's going to just regret, magically come back and be able to do it again.
Well,
I guess I'm still a little worried about him.
yeah, and this is going to sound a little weird, but for me, the best case scenario is that Spencer Steer gets about 280 at bats.
Oh wow, okay.
Because it means that Sal Stewart is beat him out of a job, and it means that whomever's playing left field has beat him out of a job, and it means that Matt McLain or Garrett Hampson is holding down second base, so they haven't tried to hide him over there.
You're hurting me with this Garrett Hampson stuff.
My son told me yesterday that he really hopes Garrett Hampson makes the Reds.
Okay.
And I said, why would you say a thing like that? And he said, Dad, because in MLB The Show, Garrett Hampson is like a 95 speed and a 95 bunt and a 95 drag bunt. And my son likes to play like a jackass and do nothing but drag bunts whenever he has the opportunity. So apparently Garrett Hampson is a secret weapon if you play video games like an idiot.
Well, it's funny. I remember on King Griffey Jr. baseball back on the Super Nintendo, I loved Jacob Brumfield. That guy could just play, man. He could play on there. You know what's wild right now? I'm looking at this. The Reds signed a reliever a few days ago, right? I mean, like, I'm pulling this up, and it's like it got white.
Oh, he's not on the transactions anywhere. I know.
It's not anywhere. The Reds haven't announced it yet.
The Pierce, whatever his name is, Pierce
Johnson, is that it? He was with the Braves.
Yeah.
Everybody's reported it. The MLB Network had it, but the Reds haven't announced it yet. Are they waiting? Is that their big Reds Fest reveal?
Speaking of Reds Fest, I don't know. I put this on Twitter the other day, but they were mentioning all the players who will be there. And they listed under the prospects page, TJ Antone.
Well, I saw that. I saw you put that out there. And they even gave him an invite to big league camp. I mean,
it's just weird because I know he's not on the roster, but I'm like, the guy's played like 7 seasons for this team. He was on the Reds when Obama was president, I'm pretty sure. And now he's a prospect.
Yeah, no. So because of the money they're giving to the bullpen and kind of restructuring that, which by the way, I think it looks fine. It looks good. But Emilio Pagan, $10 million. And, because of all that, I think hope needs to be what we rely on the offensive side, because they weren't very good offensively as a whole last year. And you're going to need to see several, not these heights, not like the max out numbers, but you're going to need to see Elly play better this year. You have to see McLain play better this year. So
yeah, the it's a really weird roster to me, because it's got the bullpen investment of a big boy roster, and it just tells me that it's kind of I'd call it a risk averse roster.
Yes,
because Tito and the organization are just so terrified of blowing leads that they're willing to live with not having leads to begin with, because they don't have a full big league offense. And they've put money into the bullpen that's not unreasonable money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to tie one hand behind your back, to me, I'd rather have starting players than part-time players where I spend my money.
Well, yeah, the calculus, Pierce Johnson, $6.5 million, Emilio Pagan, 10. They gave Trevino the extra money last year to lock him up. And then Gavin Lux, certainly, getting a little bit of above what folks had projected for him to get an arbitration had it gone that far. Yeah, I get the argument, because it's all about percentages, right? If you're going to give it's not abnormal in this era of baseball to pay relievers that much. If you're not going to pay the rest of your team.
Yeah. It's like a football team going out and having like the highest paid punter, kicker, and like return man, but no quarterback or receiver.
Well, speaking of, Ohio State inked a kicker today named Connor Hawkins from Baylor, and I hope they gave him all the money in the world because the theory has always been under Ryan Day that the Ohio State offense doesn't need to kick as often, so the good kickers won't come. But yet, you're missing these really big kicks. So
Yeah,
my
that's fair.
hope is that.
But they spend everywhere else. I mean, that's the difference, right? Like
Ohio State, yes.
It's not like OU going out and getting the top of the line kicker.
That's right. Well, but in football, that's a little different too. Well, I guess that's the argument we're having. Like the reason Ohio State wouldn't get the good kicker is because Kirk Ferentz exists. And so Kirk Ferentz lives on punting and kicking long field goals and settling for 3 points.
Right.
And so kickers, like that's their style of play. So the better kicker fits that. So if you tell me that the new style of play under Tito is pitching and acting
trying to win games 4-3 or 3-2, I think.
Right. Key Brian Hayes, shows that they care about defense until they put Gavin Lex in left field for 60 games. So yeah. All right, I'm going to actually pause for just a moment. We're going to try something new. I've said this before. We're actually going to try to know where the breaks are going as we insert the ads. So let us pause for a small break. All right, Chris, on another note, MLB Pipeline ranked their top 10 catching prospects, and Alfredo Duno ranks 4th in the top 10. I've got a good friend that lives down in Florida, Chris, and he goes sometimes to Daytona games, and he got me this last year.
Ooh.
He had the card.
For the folks in the car listening, it's a Alfredo Duno signed baseball card?
So the card was not signed, and Alfredo signed it at a Daytona Tortugas game.
About that.
So, yeah, he is on his way. Now, listen, I want to go through some of these numbers, and I know you and I probably both followed along a little bit as we saw some of this happening. His expected arrival, that's the other thing MLB Pipeline shows, is when do they expect these guys to arrive? It's not till 2027. He's only 20 years old. He's played the last 2 years in Daytona in the Florida A-level league. It's a league known for being a pitcher's league, but last year he hit, and he's a catcher. Let's remember this. 18 homers, 81 RBI, in only 113 games. That's pretty good.
It's very good.
He batted .287. Get this. Take this, Google AI, with your on-base percentages. .430 on base while slugging .518.
Yeah, he walked more than he struck out.
Yes, 95 walks, 91 strikeouts.
Yeah, as a 19-year-old catcher, that's insane.
That is so insane. It's so insane. You might want to have him played in first base by the time he gets to.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's what I really want to know. I mean, I've only seen video of the guy hitting, and he's a big dude. He's big dude. He's not quite Willie Mo Pena's size, but he looks like Willie Mo's little brother.
There you go.
And you're like, I'm having a hard time imagining him behind the plate. And like we talked about before the air, not many of us get leaner as we get into our 20s and beyond. So I don't know about the catching thing, but gee whiz, he's an impressive kid.
So he's still, even in his second year in that league, he was still nearly 2 years younger than the average age in that league.
Yeah, he just turned 20 last week.
Yes. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for this guy. He's at best going to be in Double-A this year, at least to start, I would say. Because
now, Dayton is a notch above Daytona, right? So that would be the next stop if he doesn't skip.
That's right.
Okay. Hopefully he goes there for at least a month so I can go check him out.
That would be fun. Maybe we need a road trip from Central Ohio together. That'd be all right. Now, MLB Pipeline is rolling out the rankings position by position. The Reds did not have anyone in either right-handed or left-handed pitching. But you think about Chase Petty and Rhett Lauder these last couple of years, and certainly, did I say Chase Petty? Yeah. Chase Petty could have been a couple years ago. He didn't do as well last year. Chase Burns last year certainly could have been on that list.
Did he age out of it?
I think so.
Okay.
Because Chase Burns certainly would be. Don't you think?
I would think so.
He wasn't on the list though this time.
Okay.
But, which, by the way, what do you think? I mean, he's in the rotation day one, right?
I hope so. I have a little bit of fear that if Dusty was here, he'd be in the bullpen, but
Oh,
I
my
don't
goodness.
I don't
Oh,
think
you
they're
just
going
gave
to do
me
that anymore.
such bad flashbacks. Oh my goodness, that was bad. The Aroldis Chapman discussions. Just think how that guy's life could have been different.
Yeah. I mean, looking back on it at this point, I mean, maybe it was the right call.
Right. I mean, relievers don't always last this long, though.
Yeah.
But he had one of his best years last year with
Yeah.
Boston. But yes, there's no doubt about it. All right. So before we go to the eventuality of viewer mail this week, which we always close out on, we get viewer mail sent in from our Patreon members. You can do that by going to patreon.com/riverfrontcincy. One of our Patreon members and a guy in the Slack channel, Brandon Kamick, he wrote in last week, and Chris, you were on vacation. I'm sure you didn't hear. He somehow mixed together the following two songs when talking about hitting coach Chris Valaika. The song War, as in war, what is it good for?
Edwin Starr.
And then he said he is down, Chris Valaika, he is down with OBP, however. And Ben Brown and I were on the show together, and we went down a rabbit hole talking about the song OPP by Naughty by Nature. And we talked about the fact that Rita Wilson, during COVID, recorded herself on video singing that song word for word, which gives it new meaning now that I actually went on YouTube and saw all the lyrics today. So anyway, it prompted me at that moment to solicit Brandon to get to work on pinning a Reds/Chris Valaika edition of OPP entitled OBP. Brandon came through, and here's what he said. He says, I'm allowing ChatGPT to do my homework for me with some modifications. Now, I said in the Slack channel, we need somebody to volunteer to come on and sing this. I got no takers. I'm going to read it, and I'm sure I'll start lilting into the beat a little bit, but I have no rhythm, and nobody wants to hear that. So I will read this, and I want your thoughts on ChatGPT and Brandon Kamick and the just glorious nature of what they came up with. OBP, let me break it down real quick. Weak contact, reach base. Now that's the trick. O is for on, B is for base. That's how we rate it. P is percentage, walks count, don't hate it. Chris Valaika preaching, just put it in play, slap it the other way, move runners, okay. But fans shake their heads, yeah, they're begging for thump. Soft contact, where'd the power go? All they do is shrug. OBP's fine, but the coaching's kind of thin when the Reds keep reaching and forget how to win.
Not bad. Not bad. I probably would have included something about productive outs in that verse, but
And rally killers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be a long summer.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. All right. Viewer mail, actual mail from actual viewers. They sent it in today. Kyle Kapler. Man, Kyle is quick on the draw almost every week, Chris. I wish if I could go back to when I started hosting the show and tallying who comes in first most often. I think Kyle would win that. He says if the Cardinals are dumping players, then Burleson is my guy. Also, I meant last week question to be an observance of all the outfield options when discussing Blade. Okay. We kind of maybe I got on Kyle a little bit with the thought he had because he was listing guys like Will Benson. And I said, Will Benson's not starting ahead of Blade. That's not even up for debate, I don't think. Cardinals get rid of Arenado and Sonny Gray, but they're paying a lot of money. They're paying over $50 million of the two guys' contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just like, we're going to rebuild the hard way.
Wow, which I don't think the best fans in baseball have much patience for. I'll just say that.
They're making me question their title. I'll be honest.
You mean you weren't questioning it 20 years ago?
I mean, they're always full of it, but I thought they'd have enough like shame to try to ride it out here.
But they've dropped off really quickly. I think that's the point. I mean, attendance just flatlined, and it actually kind of proves what we've kind of said all along with the Reds. Like, you look around even 20 years ago, and more recently it's Milwaukee and not the Cardinals. But you think, well, what makes them so different from us if our ownership would just put a competitive team on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I think Baseball City is only as good as last year's record.
It's proven out completely right now. You're absolutely right about that. And I think still though, even in 2004, if you came across quote unquote Reds country, there's still diehard fans who are more knowledgeable about the game than somebody in St. Petersburg, Florida, probably, or perhaps other places around the country. But I think, fans do a lot of talking with their wallets.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. I've said it a million times. You're under no obligation to support an organization that's not trying, but just don't tell me how great you are when the days when they're winning all the time.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Dave Magrum checked in. What are the Castellinis going to do this year to pique the fans' interest? Where are you going to go? Well, one thing they're going to do is sign a 10-year partnership with Xavier University. There are so many universities in Reds country, and to have this partnership, I was wondering, like, who's sponsoring whom?
Yeah,
in this deal.
I think Xavier is sponsoring the Reds.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Xavier, I have some kids who are getting close to that age, and I'm reading a lot, and I think Xavier has had a lot of declining enrollment.
Oh, wow.
And has been really trying to rethink what they are as a university.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've got some, I think their leadership's pretty aggressive down there about trying to kind of rebrand and revitalize that school. So I think it's the university sponsoring the team. That's my understanding.
A contingent of Reds folks were at the Cintas Center tonight as we record this on Wednesday, the 14th. Andrew Abbott was there. That was kind of cool. Phil Castellini got the mic and got
kind of a cold greeting, I guess you'd say.
A little bit.
Yeah, the Musketeer fans did not welcome him to the arena, maybe as he had hoped.
I mean, his public appearances are few and far between these days, and I think he's kind of getting it, right? So
yeah. I saw Barry and Byron Larkin there. Byron, of course, I think still the all-time leading scorer at X.
That was always so cool growing up to think. I mean, these guys, his brother plays for a Division I basketball team, and he's playing for the Reds. And then his other brother, Steven.
Yeah, I may have told this story before, but in the winter of 1990-91, this was back when the Reds still had a traveling basketball team.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Off-season, barnstorming deal. And they came to our high school, and they played against the Miamisburg High School faculty.
Mm-hmm.
So we had Joe Oliver, Hal Morris, Tim Burtsis, who was a big, tall dude. Pete Rose Jr. was there.
Yeah, I remember he was on that team. That's right.
Yeah. I'd have to go get the yearbook to look up who else was there, but those are the ones I remember. And I don't think Barry was there, but Byron was there.
Oh, wow.
And Byron was, a few years removed from Xavier, a little bit out of shape, kind of going through the motions until the fourth quarter. And then he absolutely took over. And it was unreal to watch an elite Division I basketball player going, 60% against a bunch of gym teachers and just absolutely torching everybody in the court.
So I was about to mix two stories, but the one story I remember as a kid, the local country station not far from where I grew up, they put together a team. And I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if Pittsburgh Steelers were involved at all, because that was a little further to the east. But in this case, they came to my town and they played at our junior high gym. And my dad, he was by this point, not in shape at the time and things like that. But my dad was a 3-year letter winner in basketball, and he goes out there to play, and I'm probably like 13 years old, 14 years old. And for 3 or 4 trips down the floor, my dad was the best player on the floor. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, Dad, you did this. And then he ran out of steam. But no Achilles were blown. So that's
good. So just to sidetrack for a minute, and I don't know if you ever experienced this, but in the mid 80s, and probably for 30 years before that, there was something called donkey basketball that would appear in our town every winter. And it was exactly what it was described. 10 jackasses on a basketball court with humans riding on their backs.
I remember that.
Playing basketball or trying to play basketball while like trying to marshal their donkeys up and down the court. One of the strangest things I've ever seen in my life. But they'd come into town every year, bring the donkeys in and suit them up.
On that note, Skylar Webker, he says, is there any hope for next season, or should we just call it now from the lack of filling this team's obvious needs? Now, Skylar, I know you haven't heard the beginning of the show yet, but we detailed the hope. I mean,
hope is a strategy, Skylar.
Hope is now a strategy. It's being sold at every kiosk in Great American Ballpark.
Yeah. I mean, hope's no way to run a team, but it's okay to be a fan and have hope.
Well, it rarely works completely this way, but if you look at last year, let's take away the fact that extra teams are making the playoffs these days, so it's kind of a little bit warped in the way we kind of, as you and I grew up with only 2 teams per league making it. But it really feels like, hey, wait a minute. They just made the playoffs, above 500 record, with none of these offensive players having career years. I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It definitely doesn't feel like the offseason of a playoff team.
No. Now, so, I mean, there's obviously the problem of we hoped they would do more, and then they didn't get Kyle Schwarber, and then they packed it in from the way we see it. So that's upsetting, but at the same time.
Well, and I guess the other thing is that the rest of the division, I mean, Pittsburgh's doing Pittsburgh things, but even they're trying, it seems like. And then the Cubs just went out and have made a couple of huge moves.
The Cubs are up there now with almost the Dodgers, the way people talk.
Yeah. So, I mean, third place in this division may be the realistic upside here.
It could be, but at the same time, if they can get better, and one of these years, Milwaukee's going to take a little step back. I mean, it's just it has to happen.
Some kind of witchcraft going up there.
Yeah, what would you guys always call it? The Cardinals' devil magic?
Devil magic, yeah.
All right, 2 more here. Joe Gaditza says, this organization has some excellent pitching. Why do they refuse to invest in the lineup? Honestly, they could sink almost all the resources into the lineup for a change. Then we'd be cooking. I just fear, again, that if they squeak into the postseason, it'll be on the back of pitching, and it'll feel wasted yet again. Thoughts? And he wants to know if people are going to Reds Fest. And, of course, Joey's from Canada. I don't know if our president's going to let Joey come to the country. So, but nevertheless, he says, one day I'll get there and meet some of the fam. Cheers. So I guess I announced this last week. I was planning to go to Reds Fest. I was rallying you and Skylar to caravan down to Cincinnati. And then I learned that it was actually the day that we're celebrating my grandparents' 70th wedding anniversary.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then my grandfather turned 90 the same day. So
hard to miss that one.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be able to miss that party. So you folks that are going to Reds Fest, I hope you have a good time, and hopefully the Riverfront people can show out together and meet up somewhere. So that'd be great. I don't, it does kind of stink, doesn't it? Because you think about Hunter Green's not making that much money. We've detailed that it'll be like 2 more years, I think, or 3 more seasons before he even makes last year Nick Martinez money.
Yeah.
So you would think if you're not paying pitchers that much yet, that might be the time to pay some hitters.
Sustainable success, Seth. That's what they want. They don't want peaks. They don't want valleys.
What's wrong with peaks?
I don't know. You have to ask Nick.
They're rally killers. All right. Brandon Kamek, the co-author with Grok of the awesome OBP song. He says, who on the current roster will make the biggest impact in 2026 as a new addition via acquisition or promotion? Now, I wanted to cheat immediately because Sal Stewart's eligible for Rookie of the Year, so I wanted to just go there. And then I thought about relievers, and frankly, they're not that exciting. I mean, we just spent time trying to find out Pierce Johnson's name because the Reds haven't even announced it yet. I think Blade. Is going to have a decent year. There's some baseball people out there who seem to be somewhat impressed with that acquisition outside of Cincinnati. So, no, that doesn't mean I think he's going to hit 40 home runs or something, but I think he can have an impact on this team as a true newcomer, if you're not letting me say Sal Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very deep class here.
Really, no, we haven't
newcomers.
We haven't seen a whole lot of newcomers.
No. Yeah, I guess it's him. I mean, I'll go back to the other guy said, though. I don't see why JJ Bleday is any better than Will Benson. I just don't. I mean, I guess defensively he can do some things, but
so you think over a whole season he would be about the same player as Will Benson? Wow.
I mean, his career line is 215, 307, 394.
Okay. What was it, 24 that he had a really good year?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had a 2 B WAR year.
Okay.
In playing full time.
Well, I mean, what did we get out of left field last year?
Yeah. Fair enough. But I mean, Will Benson in his half season last year was pretty comparable, really.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't impressive, but he did slug 435.
Yeah, and he came on that weird stretch where he kind of carried the team in fact, when they were out in Sacramento. He that stretch out there. He's just such a weird deal because Terry Francona clearly doesn't like him.
He doesn't. I don't get it.
I don't mean this as a person. I just mean as a player.
Yeah. It's the weirdest thing, and I don't know. I mean, it's just he doesn't play the Laker ball.
There's nobody. I don't completely remember Bob Boone's utility player usage, but I can't remember a guy who would let a player sit on the bench for 3 straight weeks without an at-bat. And Benson did that, it felt like.
Yeah. I don't know why he's in that doghouse. I mean, he hits the ball as hard as anybody besides Elly.
He does. But he was in the doghouse with Terry Francona because that's how the Reds got him.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe that's it. Maybe it just goes back to
it has to.
That.
It just has to. All right. Well, you've soured me on Blade now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get excited about him. He's 28. He is what he is.
Yeah, and that's the other problem. It's seeing one-time first-round draft picks signed that just never made it. Really.
I mean, it's a Pittsburgh Pirate move, isn't it? Like, we got a free agent, JJ Bleday. Who's that? Well, he was the number 1 pick a while ago, and
Yeah.
he had 18 home runs once.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really there's no defense of it. There's no defense of what they've been unable to do this offseason with the offense. But sadly, Chris, we didn't really think they would, right? Like
No, we knew. They didn't tell us they were going to.
we ramped up a little bit toward the Schwarber hope. And I'll admit that last day or two I thought they might get him. And then they didn't come close, frankly. And then Bob Nightingale's writing about how they told him they would match the Phillies, and he told them not to bother.
Come on. That guy hadn't had anything. He hasn't gotten anything right about the Reds in 10 years.
Well, he's the one that voted Joey Votto 5th in 2017, so we pointed that out last week. All right, well, as usual, you and I are ending on an uplifting note here.
Sorry, guys. Go to Reds Fest. It's fun.
Yeah, I've only been once. I went to the very first one, and I really was hoping to go this year. But hopefully maybe we can do that next year.
Yeah. I went to the first one, and then I went, gosh, it must have been the year the book came out. We did a signing down there.
You did. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Got my picture taken with Jim Day.
Hey, all right. Westerville South graduate, Jim Day. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, folks, enjoy Reds Fest. I want to hear all about it. So get in the chat on the Slack channel and let us know your experiences from Reds Fest. And certainly say hi to Elly for me. He's a late ad on the guest list. And my son's going to be bummed. He's going to miss that for sure. But we do have something a little more pressing to attend to this weekend. I'm happy to do that for my grandparents. So happy birthday, Grandpa. Happy anniversary. Chris, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you.
All right. So long, everybody.